Good morning, good evening, everybody. Hello, welcome to today's session. I can only see Roslan's beautiful, handsome face. You guys can just turn on your cameras, then you will help our speaker today, Roslan, to have better engagement with everybody. We'll give a few more minutes for the rest to join us. Maybe just a little icebreaker. What do you guys have for dinner? What do you guys have for dinner tonight? Who wants to share? You can just type in the chat room. Oh, belum makan lah. Wah, lasagna.
Wah,
Oh,
lasagna.
KFC. Ayo, I think I asked the wrong question because I forgot that Roslan has not had dinner.
I lost my appetite just now after the announcement lah. Kan?
Sorry. Okay, yeah, I think people are slowly streaming in, and then there are some who are watching this on Workplace Live as well. We have live this on Workplace. If you know of your fellow colleagues who wanted to join tonight's session, but you don't see him or her, please drop them a reminder just in case, because we've been running quite a number of training sessions, so they might have missed out on the link tonight. In any case, they can also tune in on our Redfield Happenings group on Workplace. Okay, I'll pass the time now to Roslan. Okay, I think
Alright,
you can stop telling him what dinner you have tonight. Poor guy has not eaten yet.
no
Okay, over
problem.
to you, Roslan.
Alright, thank you so much, Christine. Very good evening to everyone. Alright, so I hope everyone is doing fine during this extension of MCO. This PKP, another 2 more weeks. Today is 15, so there's about another 13 more days for us to go. And with the announcement that we saw earlier today from our PM, it probably is going to take us until end of September or end of December. So that is not something good to hear, but something that we have to face, and this is where shift comes in lah. Okay, so without further ado, let me start on the topic tonight, which is tactic two on by from the book Shift, which is reimagine your business, and it's going to be more on expense management. All right. So hope everybody is okay and in a good right frame of mind to listen, and please bear with me on the things that I'm going to say, because this is going to be more on a sharing session on what this tactic 2 is all about. All right. So let me share my screen first. Okay. How many of you agree that we are in a difficult time right now? Can. Is there anyone who thinks that we are not in a difficult time? You know, anyone? I can see the chat view. Okay. By the way, if you have any questions or you have any things that you want to ask directly during the session, you can just unmute yourself and just ask the question. All right, and then I'll try to answer as best as I can. All right. So we are basically in a difficult times. That's what I think. All right, and we have been in quite a difficult time since last year, almost 1 year plus now. All right, and then every one of us is facing this on differently based on their own individual ways of handling or facing this lah. Okay, this is part. This is one of the things that when Gary Keller said a shift in our lives, a shift in the things that we do, and also a shift from a good upgoing market to a downgoing market kind of thing lah. So, but no matter what we do, or no matter what comes, we still have to face it, and we know that this is something like we have to face lah. Okay, so even though we are in the difficult time, all right, and it's called a shift, but always remember that it's not the end. All right, it's not the end, because this thing is basically uh, a cycle of bad times and good times lah. All right. So tonight's topic is going to be on the reimagine your business expense management. Is going to be based on this book. All right, Shift by Gary Keller. All right. So in this book, it says that there's 12 tactics for tough times, which is 12 strategies or 12 proven methods of how to deal with a shift in the especially in the property market lah. All right, 12 tactics for tough time, which is number one is get real or get right, which is the mindset and action. I think this has been covered by our Sifu, Mr. William. And then tonight is going to be on reimagine your business on expense management. Why this is important during a shift. Okay, and the rest, which is from number three to number 12, from leverage up to issues and solutions. Okay, so if you have this book, all right, read it. You know, it gives you a different perspective of what and how to face difficult times, or even on how to face good times as well. All right. So before we go on to the topic of the tactic number two, to those who are new or who are not sure of what shift is all about, okay, real estate is a cyclical business. Okay, always remember that it's a season. You know, there are certain times when the market is good, and there are certain times that when the market is not good. All right. So always remember that what goes up must come down, and what is down won't always stay there forever. Okay, shifts are basically never unexpected but rarely predictable. You just don't know when, even though you now know it's coming or if it's already here to some. All right, it's something which is unexpected, but we already can predict that it can happen. You know, for example, in a 12 months period of real estate, you know that certain months is going to be a good going to be good months for you in terms of sales, and then comes the holidays, Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, is going to be a bit slow, and then it goes back up to whatever things that in terms of the market lah. So that is the normal occurrence or the normal shift during a 12 months period. But what we are facing now is totally different. You know, what we are facing now is totally unexpected, and nobody ever thought that there's gonna be a pandemic that will affect the whole world, not only us but the whole world. And we are basically, many of us are not prepared in terms of facing this. We are prepared in terms of facing economic downturn. We are prepared in terms of facing certain other predictable shifts, but we are not basically not prepared in facing this kind of pandemic that will come. Okay, so no matter what it is, they are in fact inevitable, and like I said, shifts happens. Okay, it will happen. Okay, based on a study of more than a million closed transactions over a 5-year period, this is based on from the book. Okay, as you can see the graph, from January to March it goes down, from March to August it goes up, and then it goes back down to November and it goes up to 7. So this is a cycle of what the market is going to be, right? And it's basically about the same with us here in Malaysia as well. You know, we don't really get uptrend market throughout the year. You know, it rarely happen. Maybe certain years, maybe in during the good economic cycle before the 98 1998, before that it probably could be good, but now it's every year is basically like this lah. Okay, monthly ratio of listings so to listings taken. All right, so what the anatomy of shift, what it means by anatomy of shift is that it happens whenever supply and demand move out of balance. Mana it disrupts the balance of the market. You know, when seller supply exceeds buyer's demand, it's going to be a buyer's market. All right, and when buyer demands exceed seller supply, it's going to be a seller's market. So based on your observation, in what market are we now? You know, I think everybody knows that we are now in a buyer's market. We have got a lot of listings to sell. For example, even in our own Redfield as well, we have more than 12,000 listings to sell, right? So it's a buyer's market. And even though the bank value is still basically around that, the one that we had, but the offer that we have now is basically up to the buyer as well. It's not to the sellers anymore. This is the current market that we are experiencing now. So it's a shift to from a seller's market to a buyer's market. All right. So the three type of real estate markets. buyer's markets, but maybe you keep your inventory more than 7 months. Balanced market from 5 to 7 months, and also seller's market, which is probably less than 5 months, or even 3 months, or even 1 month itself. When the market is good, a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers during that market lah. So balanced markets occur during the transition between market and salary lasts for long. So this is basically what shifts is all about. So you have to know where you stand right now, where you are, what type of market that you are facing now, right? So sorry. So in the book it says, it also mentions about the law of equilibrium. All right, it's available income in the market determines the number of agents in the market. Number of transaction rises, so does the number of agents. If you notice, when the market is good, a lot of people will start registering as rents. A lot of people will try to capitalize or try to leverage on this, and everybody, try we will try to be a rent or to be involved in the property market. Because why? Because they see the transaction that rise during that particular period, and everybody wants to have a piece of the cake. All right. So when the market falls, this is where the number of agents also fall. This is the law of equilibrium. So when the market goes up, with the perceived income opportunity and driven up by the reality of competition for it, a lot of people flooded by practitioners in an upshift, increasing the competition for existing business. I'm sure that many of you have experienced when there's a lot of agents in the market. When I started about in 2010, about 11 years ago, I think number of rents was only like 6,000, if I'm mistaken, for 5 to 6,000. But now, if I'm not mistaken, there's almost about 40 over thousand registered rents in the market at the moment right now. So it's flooded by everyone. But that is during an upshift. So those who join or who hold on to the bandwagon during the upshift, and when a downshift occurs, this is where competition becomes untenable. Okay, more people but less business. Very few buyers, very few sellers, but a lot of agents everywhere. Certain areas, more than 50, more than 20 agents covering one area, and then competition is very high. And this is where most people will start to drop out. From rent, then they start selling insurance, start selling other things, like for example become a salesman, car salesman, or even look for a salary paying job lah. So those rents or realtors that can survive during this initial lag period is more people get out of business. When a lot of people start to get out of business, this is where they'll find themselves in a less competitive market. This is the time where the ones who are left behind or are still in the industry will start to thrive. Okay, you agree with me? Okay, so that is the law of equilibrium. I've spoken about shift, what shift is all about. Either uptrend or upshift or downshift. And then the law of equilibrium. All right. Okay. So what we have to do now in a market like this is that we have to survive the downshift. Okay. Everybody will actually, I think, agree with me that we are in a downshift. You know, in general. Okay. So in order to thrive in the upshift, you must first survive the downshift. When the market goes down, you have to survive. Okay, you have to be clear here. There's nothing that says that an agent cannot thrive before the market upshift. Many whom have had their best years in down market. For example, last year when we had the first PKP, the first 6 months, everybody was like very uncertain. Nobody, a lot doesn't have any business. But once they lifted the PKP, the PKP, the MCO last middle of last year by September, a lot I see a lot even in Redfield itself from September to December, even some managed to cap during this period of time. So this is what I meant when you have to survive the downshift, in order to thrive. Okay, and the sad truth is that not everyone will, but everyone can. Not many will thrive, not many will stay, but that is not an impossible thing for everyone. Okay, so hope you understand what shift is all about, what is law of equilibrium is all about, and we go now to the topic of tonight, which is tactic number two, reimagine your business, expense management. So this one I saw in the book, is stated by W. Edwards Deming. It is not necessary to change, but survival is not mandatory. So if you understand this meaning, so means that you know that this is a very important thing for every each one of us. It's not necessary to change. Nobody is forcing you to change, but survival also is not mandatory. So it's something sort of like a sarcastic kind of statement here lah. Okay. Okay. The meaning of shift, all right, in the book it says that to shift is to change, meaning that when the market changes, therefore you must change with it. In other words, when change affects your plan for effective change. Because you cannot change, you cannot shift, you cannot let the market shift and you stay at where you are right now, being comfortable with everything that you have, hoping that the shift will follow you. It's not going to work that way. You must change with it lah. You have to change with it. So the number one determinant of thriving is lead generation. This is when an uplift market, everybody is doing fine, so everybody is thriving. So lead generation is the one determinant. You have to do lead generation in order for you to get your revenue, in order for you to get your business and everything. But the number one determinant of surviving is expense management. This is the topic that we are talking about tonight, which is expense management, the number one determinant of surviving. All right. So revenuing, in during a shift, during a difficult time, generating more income may be impossible in the short run and take too much time in the long run. So this approach is always just a little bit too late, and now is the required speed when a shift occurs. Because we always, during a good period of time, we have time to do it. Either we want to do it in a short run, or we can take our time in the long run. So, but if in a downshift period, this may just a little bit too late, because you may just be left out from the race. So you have to act now. And how is one of the thing is that re-expense. This is where you have to get your expenses lower now. We cannot wait for tomorrow, we cannot wait for next week, or you cannot wait and hope that this thing is going to be over by another 1 month. Okay. So many of us thinks that you think that gain, or getting a financial freedom is the motivator of the best motivation that they can find. But actually the fear of financial loss is a more powerful motivator than the opportunity for financial gain. A lot will start to panic when they see the fear, or they have the fear that they are going to lose a lot more in terms of financial gain, as compared to the fear that they have if they don't get the financial gain, like the opportunity for financial gain. So a swift kick in the behind turns out to be a pretty good motivator, and that is okay. All right. So sometimes you just have to kick yourself in the back. How you do it, I don't know, but you just have to make sure that you know where you are, especially during this shift, this period of difficulties. Right. So one of the things that the book says is that you can't build a business by cutting back, but you can find your profit and save it. You may not get whatever that you have before, for example last year, for the period last year, but now you may get it on a different kind of perspective. Because you have to understand that every business must make a profit, and to do this there's two things that you really need to do, which is find a profit margin you can achieve, and also focus on getting there. All right, so what does it mean by find a profit margin you can achieve? If, let's say, for example, during a good time, during the upshift market, okay, your profit margin is different. So in in a downshift market, your profit margin is a bit more difficult to get, but you have to find a way on how you can achieve this based on the current situation. And in order to do that, you have to focus on getting there lah. Right. So the only true competitive weapon you have as a business person is margin of profit. Because if you don't have this margin of profit, then the foundation of from which all your this is where the foundation from which all of your competitive competitiveness stem. If whatever you do now as a realtor, for example, as a rent, as an agent, if you do and you don't have that margin of profit, whatever that you do it's at a loss. Whatever you do is always break even. So you have basically lose that foundation of competitiveness in the market lah. So this is where, as a business person, as a realtor, you have to know what is the margin of profit and how are you going to achieve that. Okay, if a market shift causes your income to drop, but your expenses don't immediately drop in lockstep with it, then your profit margin is gone. Along with it, your competitiveness. This is very true because let's say if you don't shift, if you don't change with the market, and the market goes on a downshift, and you don't follow the market on the downshift, and you don't uh, lock your expenses, and you don't scrutinize your expenses on during this period. This is where whatever that you do, whatever amount revenue that you get, you're gonna be on a loss, when your profit margin is gone. And when you have your profit margin is gone, this is where you start to lose your competitiveness, because you yourself will be demotivated, demoralized, because you thought that everything that you do is not going to make money for you anymore. So because why? Because your profit margin is gone. Reason why your profit margin is gone? Because your expenses has ate up into your profit margin. Okay. And if this lasts long enough, you will go out of business, because no profit and no competitiveness means no business. So how long can you sustain your life as a realtor in a shift and in the downshift market? For example, we started in this downshift started in February last year, and then from that to now, most of us have survived this, and we did things that, like for example, last end of last year, some of us did very well, and we managed to gain even more or even better than what we had uh, from the previous year. But you have to know that if this is not done, if you do not control, or you do not scrutinize, or you not look into your expenses, you are going to lose on your profit or margin. And when there's no profit, no competition, means that you have no business. So means that you have no business. This is where when people start to look for other things to do. For example, as an indicator to myself, for example, I just share with you, indicator to myself. If I start to think about other ways of making money, how to generate revenue, then there is something wrong already with my plans, or there's something wrong already with my real estate programs, or plans. Because if I plan well in real estate, I should not be thinking about doing other jobs to supplement or to complement my income at that time. So this is one of the indicator for me. So when I start to think about that, and I have to look back on my current real estate plans and journey, and also my GCI and all those kind of things, and what have I done, what have I need to do. So in tactics number two, this is very important, because this is more on expense management, how to replan, or how to do back your expenses in order for you to have a profit of margin in the things that you do now, right? So common sense is that when you cut to save and you spend to build, what happens? Anybody knows what happens when you cut to save and you spend to build? What happens in a good market? When you do this, we spend to build. What happens was is prosperity happens. Everybody score. Everybody start to close deals. A lot of things can happen when you have this kind of things, right? So this is one of the mistakes, even myself as well, that I do sometimes before this. In good times or growing times, we tend to become profitable with positive cash flow and lose with financial decision making. We only see the profit, trust all decision we make, and fail to scrutinize the details. What it means here is that when the market is good, when you are closing deals every week, you indirectly, or you unconsciously fail to scrutinize your financial plannings. You don't care about how much you spend, you know how much adverts that you spend on, how what are the expenses, the variable expenses, the fixed expenses. Because why? Because the income covers more on the expenses that we spend. So we don't look at all those kind of financial decision making. You know, we only see the profit, and we think that all the decision that we make is good because of the profit that we make, and also we fail to scrutinize the detail. This is normally in a upshift market, right? So like I said, we tend to justify what we are doing well in terms of spending based on the business profit we gain during the good time. During good time, profit is good, business is good, and we mistakenly justify that our plan, our expenses, our financial planning is good because the gains that we have, the income that we have, basically camouflage or covered the whatever things that we have spent. You know, we spent a lot and we got this, which is more. So, in normal daily occurrence, and in a upshift market, we always say things like, you know, it takes money to make money. This, I think most of you have already heard this. You know, this is the cost of doing business, and we try to justify whatever things that we spend. And even though we know now, but sometimes things that we spend is not really giving us the profit that we want, and we cover up any mistakes or inefficiencies with this to allow for rising revenue or profit during this good time, because we have a lot of income, you know, high income, high profit. So we tend to mistakenly justify to our own self that everything is good. No, I spend this much of amount of money in order for me to get this kind of revenue lah. So that is one of the mistakes that we make sometimes. Okay. And in up markets, we don't look at our expenses. We are not as tight on our dollars as, or as tough on our result, as opposed to a downshift. When we are facing a difficult market, this is where every single cent we notice, you know, every ringgit, every dollar, every whatever things that we want to buy, everything that we want to do, we always know, we always plan, you know, because we know that it's not going to come that easy. So during good times, this is where we don't play red light green light, you know. So I'm sure most of you know what red light green light is, you know, in our masterclass. And this friend of Warren Buffett said, Charlie Munger said, name a business that has been ruined by downsizing. I can name one. Name a company that has been ruined by bloat. I can name dozens. Meaning that companies that downsize normally won't close, but companies that bloat, normally they will either they lose or they'll stop their business lah, right? So, and in my opinion, reason for carelessness during good times, you know, whatever things that I said just now, when we spend without thinking, you know, on the financial plan, we don't have financial plan for that. We do so much right that the market covers the wrong. You know, this is so true. When everything that you do, whatever things, whatever listings that you put in the market, you get it sold. You know, like every week you start closing things. And we felt that we have doing so much right, and then but we know that it's okay. Everything's gonna be covered by the market. We're gonna sell a lot more properties in the couple of weeks, and good time seems to reward all that we do. Exactly just like what I said, and profit seems to give permission to be permissive, or in other words, when we have profits, we give permission to ourselves to avoid things that we don't enjoy. You know, like we don't like cold calling, we don't do it, you know, because we know that we are selling, we are getting a lot of money from there. We don't do cold calling, we don't do flyers anymore, we don't do lead generation, you know, because it's a good time. You know, everyone is we are, you know, having a great time of closing, a lot of SPA being signed every week, and we give ourselves permission to do things we have always wanted to do. You know, whatever things like you try on this kind of advertising, you can this type of apps or software that we do. We have money at that time, you know, and we give ourselves permission to do things at the spur of the moment. We do not plan anymore. You know, like we just do things like at the spur of the moment, and all this leads to lack of scrutiny, research, and accountability. because we have already gave ourselves permission to do all this, and we don't scrutinize, we don't check, we don't do our research, and we don't have accountability on this, you know. So a bull market can cloud your financial vision and mask, among other things, poor expense control. For example, what happens before this, the Bitcoin market, it crashed. You know, so everybody was before this was making money because the amount, the value of Bitcoins is increasing, until Elon Musk sold his part of Bitcoin and the market crashed. So during the part where everything is good, no one cared what to do, you know, what are the plans, next step to do, nobody cared. But when the market crash, this is where when everybody starts to be awoken by these kind of things lah. So that's what it means by a bull market can cloud your financial vision, you know, because when you have money, sometimes you got clouded by things lah, right? So, and in business, it's never automatic or predictable. No one can always predict whatever things that you're going to do, because each decision presents an opportunity and risk. And you have to think of spending money in your business as investing in your business. During good times, sometimes we spend without thinking that it's an investment. We spend because we felt good, because we feel that, like, spur of the moment, I have the money, I can just do this. I simply register with another online portal platform. Even though we know that it's not working, you know, those kind of things. And every time you spend money, you have to remember that you are investing in your business. As a realtor, as a rent, you know, to those who are running a business, for example a company kind of thing, the way they spend, they have their separate financial for company, and they have separate financial plans for themselves or the family. But for us rents, basically everything is in one place, because whatever we spend for you is basically what we spend for your business, which is real estate. You know, you spend on yourself, is you are basically investing your money on yourself in order for you to get more on in terms of your business. So every time you spend money, you are investing in your business, or in your approach to your business in real estate. So this is where, when we have a lot of money, sometimes we splurge on a lot of things which is not actually investing in the business that we are doing. Okay, so just figure of speech lah. And like this Pam Kiker said, you know, for every dollar we invest, we expect multiple return. We don't expect one to one, but we expect multiple returns in terms of things that we invest. Okay. And if you don't pay attention to how profit is made and lost, you'll most likely create and maintain a profit margin on the way up that will immediately disappear on the way down, never to be found again. I think my opinion, my sharing on this is that I've had I went through this kind of situation quite a number of times in my life before. You know, during good times, I had a lot of income, you know, revenue coming in, but I did not maintain that profit margin. You know, the margin, the income, the profit that I made from properties or the selling of the being in real estate, and then it goes down and it disappears and never to be found again most of the time. You know, so this is where you have to pay attention on how profit is made and loss. And because from here, this is where you learn to, you have to go and really plan in terms of your financial spendings, or your financial need lah. Okay, do you spend based on your average, your last year, your best year, or your goals? How many of you spend based on your last year? For example, last year you make good money, you achieve 200,000 for example, and this year you spend based on your last year, based on whatever things that you do last year. You know, ask yourself this question. Okay, do you spend what it based on your average, on the, let's say for example you're in 5 years in real estate, do you spend average based on your average income of that 5 years, or do you spend based on your best year, which is maybe not last year, maybe year before that, or based on last year, or is it your spending is based on your goals, right? Okay, so most agents and like even myself sometimes tend to think that they are as good as their last best year instead of the average of their careers. You know, like for example, some of us, if not all, you know, things that last year we did good for the last quarter of last year. Even though with the pandemic, I know I did good. I kept by December. Okay, and I think that this year is going to be the same. That is what most agents will think, and they will be based on that. And we tend to have the illusion of the last couple of good years will continue, and we underestimate the market's contribution towards ourselves. For example, let's say this is done before the pandemic. Nobody knows that the COVID-19 is coming, so everyone is planning based on the year, on the best year of themselves, and came COVID ataupun the pandemic. And this is where most of us fail to, or we underestimate the market's contribution to our success. Last year, the market contribution, it could be because a lot of people are looking for property because a lot of factors lah, you know. And year before that, people are selling or people are buying because of that particular year of factor of the particular year, and that particular year punya factor may not be the same as what you have right now. So that is where we tend to underestimate, and you have in terms of what we plan in terms of our financial. Okay, okay. Ask yourself again: do you spend based on the average, your last year, your best year, or your goals? And only you know the answer to this and how to react or to act on this after this. Right. So no matter what, always follow the philosophy of lead with revenue. Okay, it's either working from a position of profitability or working from a position of enough revenue already in the book, so you know exactly when profitability start. There are two types of people here, you know, when you talk about this revenue. Okay, when you are in the position of profitability, manana you already have the money, you already have the capital to do it, and you work in that from that position. And the other one is that, especially if you're new, you know, you are working from a position of enough revenue, which is something you already have in the bank but it's not enough. But how do you work from it? So this is where you lead by revenue. Okay, so you have to know exactly where you are and exactly what to do and what are things that you need to plan. In a shifted market, you drop your expenses until your inflow exceeds your outflow at an acceptable level. This is talking about the downshift market. So your expenses uh, must be orang kata, your inflow, your revenue, your income must exceed your outflow. Meaning that whatever yang amount that you spend, the income that you get from that must exceed, must be more than what you spend. You cannot be spending more than what is coming in. You know, and when you talk about outflow, it must be at an acceptable level. Okay, acceptable level meaning that what are the things that you should invest in, what are the things that you should pay, what are the things that you should prioritize in terms in order for you to manage your outflow. So this is where you have to play red light and green light again. You know, whether this is green light to invest in a portal, whether it's a green light to spend more on credits for iProperty, for example. Is this viable green light, or is it a red light? So a true win-win financial formula that works for any business, any time, and any market condition. You have to do this, you know. Okay, so in order for you to do this in this chapter of tactic number 2, you have to protect your margin. What does it mean by protect your margin? Is that when a shift hits, initially everyone gets hit equally. For example, when the pandemic happens last year, everybody was caught off guard. Doesn't matter whether you're a doctor, whether you are a nurse pula, whether you're a salesman, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, you were all hit equally. You know, the market doesn't discriminate at that time, and all boats float lower. What does it mean is that during upshift, all boats float higher. You know, everyone is at a good point. You know, there's no uh, low level of water on the boat, and during the shift that it hits initially, this is where everyone is at the same level. Okay, and when happens first is equal and without choice. Nobody have a choice but have to face it. And it goes through with what the pandemic did to us. Nobody have a choice but have but must face. And we don't have a choice. We cannot say that we don't want the pandemic. We have to do things differently. No, everybody hits back, got hit back. Okay, and the market doesn't discriminate. All boats float lower. All right. And what happens next once everybody has been hit? This is where next is unequal and determined by choice. So once you're hit, this is where you're gonna your action is gonna be determined by your own choice. What you're gonna do, what you're gonna decide is gonna determine what you're gonna end up next. What is gonna determine where you're gonna be, based on your choice. The first one, everybody got hit the same, and the second phase is where you have a choice, to choose on what things to do. So in real estate, as a business person or as a realtor, there is no expense that is untouchable. There is no cut too small. You must reduce your expenses to match your income plus an acceptable profit margin. You don't reduce until you don't have any margin or any profit at all. You know, you have to accept what is your acceptable profit margin that you want in your industry or in your career as a realtor. And you must reduce your expenses to match your income. We cannot be spending, even though you have a lot of money saved from last year, you are not supposed to spend everything just so that you hope that it's going to be what you get back last year. It's not going to happen like that. So one thing that you have to know is that no expenses is untouchable. I mean, everything is in front of you is open for to be scrutinized, and whatever cut that you make to your expenses is never too small. You have to really balance whatever amount that you have in order for you to get an acceptable profit margin. Okay, you have to be brutal. You have to cut. You have to cut once, cut twice, and then keep cutting every week until you're there. You have to really keep on focusing on your expenses, on your money, whatever things that you have, because you never know, the amount that you have now will not be there in the next 2 weeks if you do not monitor, or if you do not scrutinize your spendings now. And then you have to attack both variable and also fixed expenses. Okay, what are the variable expenses that you face every day? Hidden fees, add-on fees that you are unaware of, overcharges from lack of attention, unnecessary work that should be postponed or cancelled, ineffective expenditures that have been returning zero result. For example, hidden fees. Whatever things that you think that is not relevant to you now, for example, even kalau you punya online property portals as well, you know that you are not you can cut on the credit that you purchase for features, for example. Or let's say, if like for me, example for me now, my property guru is gonna end by end of this month. So they already called me. They asked me whether I want to renew. So the option is that either I renew a 3,000 a package, or the second one, the standard package, is whether it's a 1,000 plus package, or I can just get just a normal basic one, as long as I still get my property guru account there. So what I did is that I'm going to renew the lowest that I can. Why? Because property guru is not the only platform that I have. I have iProperty as well, and now I have H prop, and I also have command campaigns in command. So among all this, what I do is that I see which is most profitable, which is the most viable platform which I can spend more on rather than spend on unnecessary things. So that's an example lah. You know, overcharges from lack of attention. Even now, for example, even like gym membership, you are not going to the gym now. If you can cut, you cut. And maybe after all things are okay next year, probably you can join again. Yeah, everything. So this is where we talk about variable answer. Everything that is ineffective and is returning, giving you zero results. So you have to, because this one is only you knows that what is variable expenses to you. I don't know what you're spending on. Only you yourself know. Because for me, I know what I should spend, what I should cancel, what I should reduce, all those kind of things. And on fixed expenses, all right, like car payment, rent, leases, advertising, phone bill, salaries. All right. So this is also some of the things that you need to fix in terms of the expenses as well. You know, if you can get out of them, get out. Okay, car payment, we understand you need the car, but during MCO PKP, you are not driving anywhere, and you are basically paying for the car to be parked at your parking lot in a condo or at your house. No, not I didn't say that you need to sell your car lah. And then mortgage. Look for moratorium, whatever things that the bank can help, whether to extend all those kind of things. If you can extend them to lower the monthly cost, then extend them. If you can shift fixed cost to performance based, then do it. Whatever things like under the fixed expenses kind of thing. For example, rent. Maybe you can talk to your owners. You try to get them, because the first PKP that we went through, a lot of owners reduced the rent for the tenants. Most of my landlords agreed to that. But after that, when things get to be like normalized, they don't go for that anymore. So this is where certain things that you can look into. For example, like I mentioned just now, advertising. You may not need all that advertising platform right now, because you have to understand, uh, probably what you need to do is spend more on one which is most viable, and the rest maybe you can leave it out first. Because, for example, property guru, iProperty is going to be there all the time. They're not going to, until probably they merge someday. So, but this is based on suggestions lah. It's entirely up to you. And then phone bills. What can you do with phone bills in terms of cutting down expenses? For me, I'm using U Mobile. I'm paying like 38 ringgit per month for unlimited internet and also unlimited calls. So I reduce a lot. So that 38 ringgit, I can get what, unlimited calls to any numbers. So, and during this pandemic, this is where your internet is important. So this is where that you can cut on lah. So you reduce from something else and you go for to one those that can be performance based to you, or which is profitable to you. Okay, so this is where you have to cut costs. You have to really do on your variable expenses and your fixed expenses as well. And you have to scrutinize everything. Nothing should be untouchable, and all expenses should feel the heat of your scrutiny. Walaupun 10 ringgit you nak beli Starbucks punya coffee ke, you nak beli tea life punya ke, every single thing you have to scrutinize. You have to be in a position where you 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 tell yourself that you are in the hunt for a positive net number. Not getting there is not an option. You have to do this, because from now until next 3 months, you don't know whether you can close a deal or not, whether you can sell a house or not. Even if you sell a house, you don't know what's the value of the house that you're going to sell. You don't know. So it's basically you are looking at the worst case scenario that can happen lah. So in order to get us prepared for the next 3 to 6 months, this is where you have to cut your numbers, cut your expenses. And this is where you have your buffer if, let's say, things doesn't work out for you for the next 3 to 6 months. That's what this topic is all about. Remargin your business, expenses in terms of your management. Like for example, this David Falk of Burbank, California said, this year I cut every marketing medium I use. When asked to continue, I offered half of what I paid before. I was surprised how many said yes. This can or may happen in the US, but here I don't think that if you talk to iProperty that you want to cut half of what you are paying now, I don't think that they'll agree. But you have a choice to choose which package that you think that is suitable for you right now. You don't need to go for that 3,000 ringgit package where you get 6,000 credit, and then you spend a lot of money on that. And also you can go for the lower ones, in order for you to just to be within these 3 to 6 months, in order for you to have your presence in the market, in the online social media or online platform, but not to the expense of you are over spending on this kind of things, right? And necessity is the cause of most invention and a powerful motivator. Rebudgeting is your first issue, and if you don't get it right, it just may be your last one too. This is very true. If you don't budget now, this is gonna be your last, and I don't think that you can sustain yourself to be a realtor or a real estate agent or rent in the current market. Because when you don't have the money and you don't have the revenue to come in, it's gonna be very difficult for you. Let me share you one thing that my experience last time when I started real estate, that was like in 2010. I don't have any money to spend, and for the first 6 months, it was the most difficult time for me as a real estate as a negotiator lah. I finished all my savings, my everything. But what I realized at that time was that I was spending at the wrong thing. I was spending at the wrong methods of doing it. I printed a lot of banners. When I don't have probably have maybe like 10 or 15 listing, but I got a lot of banners. I got 30 to 50 banners, and I spend a lot of money on other things lah. So this is where budget is important, in terms of as a realtor lah. Okay, and last is this: you have to cut expenses first. Now for now, this is the downshift market. You have to cut your expenses first and find your margin last. If you go for looking for high margin and you forgot about your expenses, it's gonna be difficult in the months to come. Like cutting expenses is so painful. That things that you're used to, things that you are already accustomed to, and you have to cut your expenses now, but your pocketbook will thank you later in the future, 3 months, 6 months, when everybody is out of the in the industry, out of market, when they have really don't have anything else to go for, and you be thankful because you did your expenses, you cut your expenses now in order for you to sustain that 3 6 months. And during that end of the 6 months, this is where you thrive, and you'll be in the thriving market in order for you to capture your profit margin in the industry and the market again, right? So you have to get your money smart again. Our money was once smart. During good times, whatever we spend on becomes productive. For example, good times, we spend everything that we do, everything becomes productive. Even though we tend to close one eye, think that this is good, but we don't care because everything that we spend, everything is good, and we call it smart money. And once the market shift, your money instantly becomes dumb. Whatever that you used to pay before no longer works now. But if you keep on spending the same as during that when it works, and now it's not going to yield the same result. This is going to be the what they call it, the dumb money lah, right? So yeah. Okay, nanti later papa tengok. Okay, bye bye, thank you sayang. Close the door please. Okay, sorry for that. All right. Where was I? Okay. So in order to make your money smart again, so the things that you need to do is pull back your expenses, find your margin of profit, figure out what works, put your money behind it. Like I said earlier, if you think that you have four platform, online platform, you look at what is the most viable, what is the most platform, what is the platform that works most for you, that ones that gives you a lot of leads, generate more leads, and then put your money behind it. Don't spend on every other thing that doesn't work. This is how to cut costs during a downshift name. And for every dollar spent, expect multiple returns from it. Whatever you spend, like for example, you spend on a camera, for example, a webcam, and you know that when you spend 400 ringgit for a Logitech 922 or 920 camera, that's a lot of money. But you make sure that you use that to generate your YouTube video, your TikTok, your Instagram, whatever video that is related to your business, in order for you to generate more. But if you have that money to buy that $400, 400 ringgit camera, but if not, just look for a 1080p camera, which is probably about 100 ringgit, 200 ringgit, but you won't get that satisfaction of that clear 4K kind of thing lah. That is one of the example of how you spend in order for you to get multiple returns for it. The returns may not be immediate. We may not get the returns tomorrow, but down the road, 3 months, probably you get more traffic to your channel, your YouTube channel, and even probably instead of you can also make money from your YouTube channel as well. And keep this principle at heart. Meaning that every dollar that you spend, you must expect multiple returns for it. Until you get this, don't spend another dollar. The chances of us spending now, especially during the pandemic when you're at home, is a lot, especially when Shopee is giving a sale lah, 666 sale lah, whatever sale or everything. So now in order to cut on that, what I do is that if I see things that I like, I just add to cart and leave it there. Add to cart, leave it there. I've got lots of things in my cart in Shopee now, but I did not buy. So a week later or 2 weeks later, I look at back at the card. If I still need that, and then probably I'll buy if that is really important and if that can contribute to my business. If not, I just delete it. So that is one of the way the discipline that I have now. Rather than then add to cart and buy now and just pay and just pay. End up I don't need all those kind of things. And then like I said, you have to get this until you get this concept of this principle at heart. Don't spend another dollar until you can manage and you can cut whatever thing unnecessary thing during this downshift. Because the first step to financial recovery is stop doing the wrong thing. It's an old principle. You don't have to make it back the way you lost it. I went through this many times during my career in real estate. Close a 2 million bungalow, close a 1.5 million semi D. I got the money and I spent it all. And I thought that I spending it for the business, but it was not. It's more on, spur of the moment kind of thing. But when the money is gone, and this is where when at the same time if you're not lucky, this is where downshift happens and you get caught yeah, got caught for it lah on that lah. You don't have the money and the market is market shift downshift, and this is where it's going to be a very very bad experience for you. And in real estate, if you cannot maintain that, you're probably gonna not gonna be long in the market. So shift number two, tactic number two, remargin your business. Expense management is very very important, especially during this time lah. Okay, so if you think that you have any questions, you can put in the box, in the chat box. Probably I'll answer it, or anyone else can answer as well. Okay, so before you go, when you get your money smart again and working from positive profit margin, you are back in the game. Because you're always in the game. When you have the money, you have the revenue, and how you make your money smart again. And always remember that the shift may have dropped you down, but you are not out, because you know what you are spending your money on and what you're getting for it. Okay, simple as that. You have to know where you are, what are the revenue or the profit margin that you want, and what are the expenses that you need to cut, or you need to increase or cut in order for you to get that acceptable profit margin that you have. Right? And the key to reimagining and changing your budget is changing the way you think. This is very important. Your attitude, your mental attitude towards your perception of the market, or your perception about to yourself, your perception to your attitude on cutting the budget is from the way you think. If money matters, then managing that money matters most. Okay, you must be a budget bully to be an effective money manager. Okay? You must be very strict on this lah. Okay, because when you lead from a position of profit, your world is full of possibilities. Everybody wants this. If you are in a position where, yeah, you're in a position of profit. Okay, so the world is full of possibilities, as opposed to when you're in a position where you're at a loss. Can everything is going to be a challenge to you. So always try to be in a position of profit by doing your expenses, by managing your expenses during a downshift. All right, so I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please put in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask anything lah. Okay, I stop share for now.
Thank you, Roslan. I think there isn't any question. I'm trying to see. Virtual support, if there are any questions that is on the workplace, please let us know or let Roslan know. Okay. Feel free to ask your questions if you have any questions. If not, I will go straight to some announcements that we have for you tonight. Okay. All right. Firstly, tomorrow we have another training. Okay, so if you take a look at the calendar, tomorrow we have a training called the Power of Database. So if you have guests who has not registered, please send them the training link, or sorry, the form. It's actually in the chat box. If you are our agents, don't worry. The market center support staff should send you, or should have already sent you, the Zoom link for tomorrow's training. Okay, tomorrow's training will be conducted by Lily and Janice. So you will hear from them on the power of database. Next. Now, tomorrow night, there's also a very special session that is conducted by the FDRT team. Okay, both John and Jonathan Quack and Calvin Kwok. It's not going to be on Zoom. It's only going to be on our Facebook page. All right. So head on to our Facebook page, maybe the virtual support, if you can type in what is the link for our Facebook page. This session and this talk will be actually live on that page. Okay, so do join them tomorrow night as they talk about, is it worth investing in transit-oriented development projects during FNCO. Okay, next. Okay, this is a very interesting one, only for Redfield agents. Now, we are launching a HPROP listings competition. And with this competition, all of you actually stand a chance to win 1,000 HPROP credits plus USD 50 for KW command campaigns. Okay, now this competition is very easy. All you need to do is within the next 2 weeks, which starts from today, all the way until Sunday on the 27th of June, you need to have at least 10 new listings. Okay, let me repeat. Yeah, you need to have at least 10 new listings in HPROP portal to qualify for this competition. Now, duplicate listings is not allowed, number one. And secondly, please also bear in mind that you cannot, like, okay, this listing's already in my HPOP, I delete and then I go and upload again. Okay, we got way to tengok one. Okay, so don't try to cheat the system. All right,
Cannot.
so minimum 10 new listings. Okay, Roslan also can participate if he wants to participate. All
I
right.
was thinking of deleting and reinserting.
Walao,
Now
lucky I
you,
say that. That's why
since you
go on,
mentioned now,
go on,
cannot
you
lah.
go first. All right. And there will be one winner from each market center. So market center 1 will have one winner, market center 2 will have one winner, and market center 3 will have one winner as well, right? So participate in this, stand a chance to win 1,000 HPROP credits, sponsored by HPROP, of course, and USD 50 for KW combined campaigns. All right. Next, oops. Okay, just a reminder that we are continuing to run our national consumer campaign touch points. These are the new touch points that you can access and download from our workplace. Just head on to Redfield Happenings and it will be pinned up there. Okay, next. Just a reminder that we are still running our Red Day campaign because due to the FMCO, we are unable to actually physically go and collect the laptops just yet. So for the time being, this is still ongoing. If you have any laptops to donate, or your clients have any laptops to donate, or your friends have any laptops to donate, please reach out to us via the bit.ly link. Just register, let us know, and once the FMCO is being lifted, then we will arrange for a suitable time to collect those laptops that's being donated. All right. Next. Okay, just an update. As of today, we have in total 31 computers that is being committed to be donated. And at the same time, we managed to also collect 11,104 in cash. So for those of you who contributed or your team contributed, thank you very much for this. Just bear in mind that this is still ongoing. So yeah, so do reach out to us if you know of anybody who wants to still participate. Okay. All right, I think that's the end of tonight. Do we have any questions on the chat box? No? Wow, Roslan, you are famous. Everybody is appreciating you and saying thank you to you. Yes, thank you,
Thank you so
Roslan.
much. Thank you so much for all who attended tonight. It's basically a sharing of the book. If you don't have the book yet, you can get this. And where's this? This. This is part of what Gary Keller's book is about. We have the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and also we have the One Thing. So those are basically on how for you to get the revenue or the profit margin that you want. This is how to share or to teach you on what to do in the shift market. So it's a good thing lah. It's a good book. Even my own experience on this lah.
Yeah. If you guys want to be like an expert like Roslan, you all can read the book as well. You can actually check with your market center. I think most of the market centers would have the book. Get the book from them. And yeah, just buy the book, read it, and then soon you maybe like Roslan one day sharing in front with everybody. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you
Now
all.
Roslan can go and have his dinner and be happy. Thank you guys for
Thank
coming.
you.
I'll
Thank
see
you.
you all
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Christine. Thank you all. Good night. Stay safe,
Bye.
yeah, and keep a sane mind. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bila bertalu rentak di kalbu, hasrat yang tersirat semakin kuburu. Bila bergema laungan gempita, harapan bernyala nadiku berganda. Gemuruh jiwa semangat membara, dari puncak ingin ke angkasa, berkalungkan bintang berkelipan, menyala jauh dari yang biasa. Bila bertalu rentak di kalbu, hasrat yang tersirat semakin kuburu. Bila bergema laungan gempita, harapan bernyala